This is a demonstration on how to make a Caesar salad for two from scratch. Coarse ground pepper is first, and there's actually two purposes for the pepper. About 1/4 teaspoon. 1 medium-sized garlic clove for every 2 people. We keep these in olive oil, but that's not necessary. And 1 anchovy for every 2 people. Now this is an important part of the process because these 3 ingredients have to be completely made into a paste by using a really strong fork that's not going to bend when you try to crush these ingredients. And the pepper, along with being in a seasoning, obviously is also going to work almost like it were sand and helping you to grind down this garlic into a paste. Now if you have someone that objects to an anchovy, which sometimes they do, you have to do your best to talk them out of it, because first of all, it's going to disappear. I mean, they're never going to know it's in there. This is not a Caesar salad that you finish off by laying anchovies on top. It's just a part of the ingredient in the very beginning, and by taking it out of the mix, you basically are removing all the salt from the recipe. And a recipe without salt is pretty bland. So unless there's an allergy situation, sneak that anchovy in there. Okay, now this paste is basically, you can't distinguish between the pepper and the garlic, and it's just completely mashed. Next, you're going to put in about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Just a couple of shakes of Worcestershire, probably about 1/2 teaspoon. A splash of balsamic vinegar. This is also probably actually less. Or maybe 1/2 teaspoon, that's about right. And 1 egg yolk. Now you just want the yolk. It's going to help with the body of the dressing. And then you're going to need about 1/3 of a lemon. And whatever you have to do to squeeze it, I'm going to squeeze it through a napkin so that we don't get any pulp or seeds in the dressing. And then you're going to mix this up really well before you add the olive oil. Now the olive oil is for 2 people about, I guess, about a third to a 1/2 cup. And it should emulsify with the rest of the ingredients and gain some thickness. You've got to mix it pretty vigorously, and you don't want any of these separations. When you see it starts to separate or break, just a little more mixing and it'll all come together. Just like that. Now your romaine has been cleaned and prepped in advance and rolled in a napkin of some kind to make sure it's good and dry. You're going to add some shredded Parmesan. Once again, about a third of a cup. And plain croutons. You don't want seasoned croutons. You can either make them little toast squares or buy them, but make sure they're unseasoned, because your dressing is what's going to season these croutons. Now you toss this really well. A nice touch is to keep your bowls and your forks in the freezer before service, so that everything is really nice and cold when you serve this thing. Now, you can, change this recipe for more than 2 people, obviously, but the 2 things that you don't necessarily want to keep in exact proportion would be the mustard and the Worcestershire. A little more, but not double the amount that we used for 2. And so you're going to serve this up. And then the last thing that you're going to do is offer some extra pepper.